how well it'll carry through or not, we'll try. Some of you may not care watching, so those that can gather around. Bio-Char is basically an amendment to the soil. It's not a fertilizer per se, but it acts in conjunction with the fertility of the soil to drastically improve your yields through many mechanisms. It's got a long history. It is currently very, very actively being pursued around the world, except in the U.S., which seems like the story of so many things we know today. Okay. But it started out basically why we began this idea with Bio-Char was that in the middle 90s, they began finding areas in the Amazon basin that were very fertile soil. Now the history is that the original European explorer that came to the Amazon basin was named Oriana. And he reported that there were huge cities in the Amazon. And he went back and he had a scribe with him and had Duty to report. He said they would go down sometimes they go longer, more than several miles along the riverbank, and they would get a city along the riverbank. Well, it took almost 50 years for Europeans to get back to the Amazon, and when they did, there was nothing there. And he went down as a liar. And has maintained that status up until just recently. And the reason being was that the soil in the Amazon basin, contrary to everything you think about the Amazon, that great, wonderful rainforest, is worse than our soil. There is stuff. And the Amazon rainforest lives off the leaf litter. It doesn't live off the soil. It just goes round and round and round. And the soil in the Amazon is kind of a nasty yellow color. But they began finding in the 60s, as the archaeologists began coming off the riverbank and starting to get back into the jungle, because all they ever worked was on the riverbank, because that's where the people lived, right? As they began moving back in, they began finding very rich areas of soil that were obviously man-made. They may be as little as a hectare or 2 hectares, which is roughly an acre, up to over 100 hectares at times. And as they began looking into this, they said, what makes this soil? And one of the things they noticed about soil is black. So it took on the name terra preta. Terra for earth. And in Brazil, the Amazon, Brazil, they speak Portuguese. In Portuguese, the word for black or dark is preta, not negro like it is in Spanish. It's preta. So it became terra preta, black. And then they began looking at this. That's been working well. What's in it? And they found that the magic element was a very simple thing. Charcoal. Charcoal makes all kinds of sense when you start thinking about it. I have a friend who called it flat-pointed charcoal, of course. We use charcoal as a filter. We use it in our swimming pools, we use it in our water filters, and all that kind of stuff. And we begin to, if you think about it, what it does is it grabs and holds things that are dissolved in the water. Puts them away. The mechanism is that charcoal is extremely porous. A teaspoonful of charcoal. Just a single teaspoon. The porous area inside that teaspoon's worth of charcoal is over an acre. And that's what happens is these substances begin to gather on the surface inside the charcoal. And that's how it filters out. Well, if you can filter things out like that, it can filter out nutrients in the soil below. And that's exactly what it does. Okay. Let's get this story. Okay. You've heard about that. You've heard about that. This is kind of hard to see with the lights. I don't know if we can cut the lights. I don't know if it'll help right now. But if you look at this soil on the left, it's so light colored. That gives you an idea. And the corn, by the way, just happens to coincidental. Here's the benefits. It adds nutrients when new, and I want to explain that. When you kinds of nutrients in the material that you're using. Phosphorus, potassium, etc. The phosphorus and potassium will stay with that was in the wood that you're making biochar from, will stay with it, but your nitrogen will be gone. So you'll get the nutrients